What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Yanks of the Cop. We are here for our pre-match Brighton reactions, and I'm your host, Steve, as well, joined by your other hosts, Scans and Mahomie. And today we had to bring on Tim Jones, Brighton supporter, second leg. He's back, showing his face. Tim, thanks so much for joining us, man. How are you doing this new year?
I'm doing very well. Thanks very much. Thanks for having us back on. Really enjoyed being with you guys last time, having a good debate, good bit of banter. So looking forward to this evening and touch wood for tomorrow's game as well.
Yeah, Tim, is that a balloon behind you? It
is a balloon. There, the other side. There was a birthday just after New Year, and the balloon's still going strong.
There you go. Love it. Was it your birthday?
No, my partner's.
Oh, okay.
Well, happy belated to them. And everyone who's joining, we appreciate you guys. Hit that like and subscribe button. But Tim, let's jump right into it. So we kind of mentioned it, right before we went live here. But since we last met in November, so far, so what's going on, with your team's form, and do you have any concerns with the lack of wins so far this season?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lack of wins is not great. We've only had 4 wins all season. And I think from a league perspective, only, 2 wins in 10. But when you flip it round and you can make stats say what you want, we've only actually been beaten a couple of times in 10 also. We've drawn a lot of games, and those 2 defeats have come against Arsenal, who were on a good run when we met them, and Man City as well. So it's not all doom and gloom, but we would prefer more points on the board, of course. If you take our points per game and multiply them through to the end of the season, we will hit that magic 40. So from that perspective, it's better than it was. But the pundits, they love us. Every game they broadcast, Brighton play fantastic football. If you don't stick the ball in the net, you won't win games. Stats can say anything you want. So a bit of a mix. It is great, though, that we have hit some kind of form, though, in the last few games.
So what was it? You had a massive victory recently against Spurs. I watched that again. It was a good match. And what was the kind of key to your victory in getting the number over Jose? You always love when Jose loses. It's always like the keys to you in getting that victory.
So the keys, well, I think consistency. Graham Potter named virtually the same side 3 games on the trot, whereby he had been a bit of a tinker man. He kept changing. I don't know whether he didn't know what his best side was or whether he was trying to tinker too much. But when you play the same side 3 games in a row and you win 2 and draw 1, I think that's got to start saying something. And the passion that the team showed against Spurs, the energy, the pressing, they were really, really gelling. So maybe that comes with the consistency. Alex McAllister, our Argentinian international, playing number 10, he absolutely bossed the game. He was on fire. And I think I can probably say it, Spurs were frankly awful as well, which helps when you are playing a side who didn't look like Gareth Bale didn't look like he got out of first gear. You could argue that we were part of that, but they weren't on form. We played very, very well, and we took a chance. I said earlier, we're not scoring enough goals. We at least scored 1.
That was a good early goal you got.
It's good. It's great to score early. It takes the pressure off. Spurs were having to sort of, chase the game. We should have killed it off. We didn't, and that's our Achilles heel. That's our weakness. We don't score enough goals. I mean, I think I saw this week for expected goals table, we're Champions League, but that doesn't give you points. You've got to score the goals. They've got to go in. But the difference against Spurs was, I genuinely believe, stability and a real game plan. Graham Potter did a number on Jose.
Hey, Tim, just going to this January, you guys did a little bit of business signing Moises Caicedo.
Yeah.
Do you happen to know anything about him and maybe what we can expect from him in the Premier League?
Yeah, well, I don't think we're going to see him for a while. Graham Potter's press conference yesterday. I mean, I know the questions were about the upcoming game against you guys tomorrow, but he was asked pointedly when we would see Caicedo, and he said we're going to let him settle in. I mean, on a YouTube basis, he looks dreamy. The fact that the fact that United were in for him and a couple of other big sides, I think, does show that he is a class act. But I don't think we'll see him until towards the latter end of the season. I genuinely think they're going to bring him in softly. It's what we did with Tariq Lamptey. We signed him in January and we let him settle in. We let him get used to us as a club, the mentality, and then see how it goes.
What's going on with Lamptey? He doesn't seem to be. He seems to have a nagging injury for quite some time now.
So somebody said that he's got a Ferrari engine, and perhaps it's in the wrong kind of body. He's explosive, and because he's explosive, he suffers those muscle injuries, which you got to take care of. I mean, originally he was due back 3 weeks ago. So now it's another 2 weeks. It's frustrating because he is such a joy to watch. He's a breath of fresh air, but I don't think we're going to see him for a couple of weeks. He's definitely not playing tomorrow, and by the sounds of things, Saturday, maybe next week are too soon.
I know he's on my fantasy team. I've been missing him for the past month or two.
Yeah, and when he comes back, his explosive pace down the line, he gets the crosses in. He is an absolute joy. We tied him down to a new contract last week, so that's brilliant news for us. I don't expect he'll be with us longer than one more season.
Oh, you think he'll be moved on to a bigger club, or?
Yeah, I genuinely think that during next season he will be leaving either for a top 6 club or a European club. I mean, the likes of Bayern Munich are sniffing around. I don't see Arsenal as a bigger club as they used to be. They've been sniffing around. But it's of no surprise that the big scouts are coming to watch him.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely a talent.
Yeah, absolute talent.
So, I mean, staying on the topic of players, I've noticed that Adam Lallana has been spending a lot of time on the bench, and I know you guys are really excited about his role coming in. So, talking about a player that left Liverpool, how has kind of the fans' mindset on Lallana changed at all? Then one step further, we've been linked to Yves Bissouma, I think is how you pronounce his last name, for maybe a Gini Wijnaldum replacement. So, can you tell us a little bit about him as well?
So, Adam Lallana, I don't really need to tell you guys of all his attributes. And I think the key thing is, and I noticed it when it was clear that he was on his way out of Liverpool, Klopp still wanted him around. He was always seen as a vital point of the dressing room. And I think that when Brighton got him, they got him not just on the pitch, but they got him for off the pitch. And, okay, he's not started as many games as we would have liked, but his contribution has been excellent on field. And my understanding from sources within the club in the dressing room is that he's working with the younger players, even with the senior pros. And I don't know whether you noticed, but he came on for the last 10 minutes of the Spurs game. And you can hear his voice. He's not the captain. You can hear him. He is telling people what to do. Go here, go there, move, keep it. And that you cannot buy. It is ingrained. And he got that from being with the Premier League champions, and we've gained that experience that you taught him and gave him. And if he plays tomorrow, be such a shame that it's not in front of the adoring fans. But I think he'll feature. I do think he'll feature. Maybe not start, but I think he'll feature. So that's what we've got from him. And Yves Bissouma, he is an absolute baller. He is a tremendous, tremendous player. It took him a while to settle. In his first season, you could see glimpses, flashes of his talent. And then his second season, you saw some more. And every commentator says it. He just needs to score more goals, and he's a complete article. But if you took his goals out of it, I think Gini Wijnaldum is just a dream player. He is a joy to watch. Plays with a smile on his face. He can create things out of nothing. Eves is perhaps not quite yet that standard, but make no mistake, if you put him into that Liverpool side, I think his game would be raised.
Mm. Well, it's interesting. A lot of people are touting him to potentially replace Wijnaldum. I mean, I'm not sure what Brighton fans think about that, but it'll be interesting to see them going at it tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, we wouldn't want him to go. He's an absolute fan's favourite. I mean, I think when we beat Crystal Palace, our arch rivals, he was the first one over to the fans, giving it the big cheer.
That's great.
And fans love that. So we wouldn't want to see him go, but we're not stupid. He is a player on an upward trajectory in his career. And, I mean, I think I'm disappointed when I hear the likes of Arsenal come in for him, because I just think I don't mind players going if they're going to reach their full potential, with a real big four club. He would be a great addition to your squad. It would then be interesting to see how Klopp takes him to the next level, which is where he'd need to go.
Yeah.
What's like I'm quite impressed by Pascal Gross and Trossard. I think they've been like very good players, and especially the goal they're scoring against Tottenham was like a good link-up play between them. So, how much of a threat are they for Liverpool going to this game? And what can you tell us a bit about them, a bit more?
Okay. Well, Gross, he's been with us since we started in the Premier League. Only cost $3 million. He's got the most assists since we've been in the Premier League. The one thing I would say to you, if he's on the ball and he plays, watch how many Cruyff turns he does. He does on average 4 a game. And even though every defender knows it's coming, they still fall for it. It makes me laugh every time. But you're right about the link-up play. And I think that's quite crucial because they've been playing together during the last few games. You've noticed the link-up play better. Trossard had a rough few games when we weren't playing well before Christmas. You could see that he maybe needed a break and he was taken out the firing line and rested for a few games. He's come back in and he's hungry. Belgium international. He's got skill. A little bit weak on the ball. I think physically, he, as a team, we're not very streetwise. We can get bullied. And I'd say Trossard can sometimes be accused of being like that. But on their game, Trossard and Gross will link up very well. And I don't know whether you remember the game, that obviously the 1-1 draw at the Amex, Aaron Connolly. Now, I'd be interested as to whether he's brought back in tomorrow, because he caused no end of problems to you guys. And I think what's curious to us is what side we will pick for tomorrow, bearing in mind we have an even bigger game at the weekend against Burnley.
So, kind of going off of that, Liverpool's, we've been in a really tough run of games up until recently. We just kept dropping points, couldn't score a goal. Finally starting to find our way a little bit. And then when you think about Brighton, you guys are unbeaten in your last 4. Do you think that will help with your team's confidence at all heading into tomorrow's match?
I do think it'll help the confidence. And I don't think that we've played badly against any of the top sides this year. Even though we haven't necessarily got the points that we should do, I think we've performed well. I think the way that top sides play actually helps us. I genuinely think that it helps us play our kind of football. There's a danger that we can then get hit maybe on the break. But if I look at the game we played at the Amex against you, we weren't overawed, we weren't phased, we weren't clinical enough when we were on top. But I think for tomorrow, depending on the side that we put out, the first 15, 30 minutes will be crucial. If we don't go behind, then I don't think we give the impetus to you guys. The worry for me is if you score in that first 15 minutes, the form that you've been in the last few games, where you've been very, very impressive. It's of no surprise to see you come back to form. We just need to make sure that we don't go behind and we're still in the game. That's crucial for us.
Just want to say that all just see in the chat, all fans are welcome here. As long as you keep respectful, you're all welcome here. So it doesn't matter whether you're United, Liverpool, Spurs, wherever you support, you're all welcome on the Ice Scott podcast. Just be respectful and just do some friendly banter.
Well said, Wahomie. But Tim, I'm curious what you think the lineup in your formation will be tomorrow, especially in that midfield. I'm really curious to see what we're going to be going up against, and with our rejuvenated midfield in Thiago and Gini Wijnaldum and potentially Curtis Jones or James Milner. I'm curious to see who we go up against.
Yeah, and I think that being a Brighton fan in the first 21 games of this year, Potter's bingo is what it's been called, because nobody knows what's going to come out. I mean, sadly, we've got a couple of injuries. So it looks like Joel Veltman is going to be out. Now, he's Tariq Lamptey's replacement.
Really? Okay.
Just hearing Graham Potter say that it's touch and go normally means that there could be a doubt. Now, if he's not playing, Ben White could slip into right wing back, or Steven Alzate, Colombian international. Both would be fine. Potter's going to go with his back three centre backs of whatever formation. There's going to be three centre backs. Solly March will be on the left, and either Ben White or Alzate, I think, will be on the right. Now, when you say midfield, we could go through 6 players, and we wouldn't know what he's going to pick. I think McAllister might have picked up a knock, so maybe, sadly, you won't see him. So then you've got a perm of Davy Proper, Pascal Gross, Trossard, Lallana, Basuma. I think Basuma will definitely start because he just links the defence to the forward midfield. You know, he is such an important, integral figure. I don't see him being rested. But whether Davy Proper plays, Adam Lallana plays, Pascal Gross plays, Leonardo Trossard, I couldn't tell you who will play. But what I do know is whoever plays, they will have that fluidity. They'll have that linkage. So if you want to know what style, it'll be the normal Brighton way. But the personnel, maybe I couldn't tell you. And then up front, you could just perm Mopé, Connolly, or Percy Tau, who we recalled from Anderlecht. He's played a couple of Premier League games and a couple of the Cup games. So I think...
Tim, we did have a question from the chat from J-Doc. Said he was just curious of your opinion of Percy Tau.
Percy Tau is an undoubted talent. Again, looked brilliant on YouTube, but then when he came to Europe, we couldn't get a work permit for him, so we struggled to see him. But when Brexit changed, he could come in. Now, I can only really comment on his games for Brighton that I've seen full action. He's got something about him. Low centre of gravity, very, very good on his left foot, but equally has got, you wouldn't call him two-footed, but he's not totally one-footed, but he's got enough about him. And where he'll play is he'll play just off the front man, and he'll take defenders out into channels where they don't want to be, so he'll take a centre-back out. And then he's got skill, low centre of gravity, and he's shown enough on his first few starts, look good against Man City. So there's a lot expected of him because he did really well in Europe. From what we've seen so far, there are glimpses that he could cause trouble. Mm-hmm. What we don't know is whether, again, he's been gradually introduced. So, he didn't play against Spurs. So my view would be that maybe that was because one eye was on the game against you guys tomorrow.
Yeah, okay. Interesting.
Well, Adrian Wahomie, what are you guys expecting tomorrow from a Liverpool perspective? I mean, we've had 2 really good wins on the road, and having drawn them last time we played, and with the City game coming this weekend, what are you guys expecting? How are you expecting Liverpool to line up?
I think it's going to be. I don't think it's going to be. I don't see Dave as a K-back playing any part of tomorrow or the weekend. So I think it'll pretty much more or less be more or less the same team that played Spurs. No, West Ham. Pretty much the team that played West Ham. Depending on Marnie's back. I didn't hear anything about Marnie in the press conference today, so I'm not 100% sure if he's fit for tomorrow or if he's back the weekend. Otherwise, I expect Klopp to probably go with the same of Alisson, Phillips, Hendo at centre-back, Trent, Robbo, then I think he'll probably do a midfield of Ginny, Thiago, and I think Jones. 'Cause I don't think Milner can start another game. And then he'll do Firmino, Salah, and then Shaq. I don't think Origi will play. I think it will be the lineup. I think for us, obviously, we need to follow this up with another win. We've had 2 good wins on the road. Now we're back at home. We need to follow that up with a win. And obviously, Brighton gave us a good game away last year at the Amex Stadium. So we have to kind of respect them and really don't take them lightly, because they are in a good run of form. They played good teams in that run, so we have to be on our game and just take the game straight away. I think the better we can get an earlier goal, the better. As we have done in the other games, get an early goal and then take the game to them, and don't take the pressure off the cooker. So just take the game to them, and then get this game better done and dusted. I think that's the approach. But yeah, we can't just go into as we've done in normal games where we are slow out the block and just trying to pass it around and just allowing Brighton to run a steam and feel it in the game.
Do we also expect Fabinho to play, or is he still out?
No, out to weekend.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, I mean, if that's the case, I think we line up pretty much the same way almost with a very similar strategy. I think we could see that formation with the diamond middle with Shaqiri in there, like what Homie said. And Salah obviously has been on fire. He definitely makes the team sheet. He's probably the first one on there as well. I could see Bobby. I could also see Origi. I'm not sure which way they're going to go. But the back four, I think, is going to be Henderson and Phillips again then, since Fabinho is out. But Tim, going back to you real quick, we did see a question from the chat from Chris Welch. He said, if Brighton do stay up, should they be targeting a mid-table finish in the future? I guess, what are your thoughts on that?
I think they thought they were going to do that this season. I genuinely think with the acquisitions that we made, nobody really thought that we'd be in a complete dogfight that we're in at the moment. So, yes. And we've let a few players go out. A few of the fringe players have left. We've drawn back in a couple of loan signings, such as Percy Tau, made the addition. So, yeah, if we stay up, and it's by no means guaranteed, we really should be aiming to be mid-table. I think where we should be aiming is to be in that sort of 9th to sort of 14th slot, because I do think that there is top 8 where the odd side can break into. Then you sort of see 9th to 15th. And then below 15th is normally where the relegation battle is. Brighton should definitely be aiming for between that sort of 8th, 14th berth, definitely.
Yeah. So, are you really, though, even remotely concerned about getting relegated this year? Because, when I think about it, I know you guys are just outside it, but, I just think you guys are just so far above Fulham and West Brom and Sheffield. When I look at it, I see you guys there in the table, but I almost I think Burnley is more of a threat to go down than you guys are. Just personally.
Hopefully Burnley goes down.
and I think whenever you look on social media, you see these neutrals and they on Twitter, they're watching our game going, I don't know how Brighton are this low. And so. Yes, I do agree with you, but being right above the trapdoor, equally, I'm nervous that we've all been watching football long enough to know that you get an injury, you get a sending off or something, and it can change, and we don't have enough points to relax. We should be safe, and every neutral or other fan that I speak to says you should be safe, but I think you just have to be careful, and in this season, perhaps more than other seasons, where the lack of fans I do think contributes from game to game. Until we're safe, then I will be looking over my shoulder. It's good to have that cushion, and that's why the Spurs victory was so important. But, and I'd love to be, for me, if I was above Burnley and Newcastle, I'd be even happier because there's teams then below us. It's because at the moment as we sit, there's nobody below us apart from the bottom 3. And that's why I do think we have to take care. because you could go on another bad run of form.
So what do you think? Because I think we can all agree that Brighton's building something, right? You guys are playing some really good football. You brought in some good pieces. What do you think's missing? What's the missing thing to add to this team to really take you to that next level?
If we had a striker who was going to get you 18 to 25 goals. So if you put in our side, okay, Mo Salah guaranteed, but Bobby Firmino, if you put these players that know where the back of the net is and they took their chances, we need 5 chances to net 1. Yeah, you don't get that luxury in the Premier League. Now, the expected goals table, the chances created, we're in the top 10. So there's no doubt the style of play and what we're building is not only a joy to watch, but it's creative. What we don't have is either maybe it's confidence. Neil Maupay isn't a bad player. However, he has missed 2 penalties this year, and he's sitting there not into double figures. So that is the one thing that we're missing. But how many clubs can go out and actually locate that player and say he's our man that fits our wage structure and philosophy? Right.
Well, Andrew Mahomey, you guys are gonna take it from here. Tim, thanks for hopping on. I gotta hop off early. I got a work call, but appreciate you guys. Everyone in the chat, appreciate you guys. Have a good night. And Tim, thanks again, man. You're a good guy. I appreciate you.
Cheers, buddy. Catch up soon.
Yes, Stevie.
You guys, Steve. Tim, would you take Origi at Brighton?
I was just going to ask that.
Wow. So I think it's really unfair of me to ever say, I know what I've tweeted, and you can go back through my tweets and you can see it. And now I did say that, and I even calculated it. For me, our play, Jahanbakhsh, we were offered money for him. I said, sell him, go and get Origi. It's going to be a net, it's going to be a net cost to us, but not as much. And I've always liked him. I think he's a very good player. He seems to be a player that can do it in the big events, the big games, as he's proved for you. But here's my but now. I've seen him more this season than in previous seasons, and I don't know that he is the answer, because is he the guy to get 20, 25 goals a season? And I don't know the answer to that. I'd love to take him on loan without the financial commitment of buying him.
But Tim, let's be honest. I don't know how many players get the 20, 25 goals a season. I mean, look at last season. What was the highest goal tally? I think it was 24, and that was 23, Jamie Vardy. Season before that was Sadio Mane with 22 and Mo Salah with 22. So I don't think it's like a very common feat, but I actually think that Origi would be a good fit for you guys, especially in a counter-attacking style. Before Liverpool became the team they are now, that's what he was good at. He was good at countering and putting the ball in the back of the net. I feel like that's what you guys are missing. Neil Maupay, I think, is pretty inconsistent for the most part. I think he's a little undersized at times. And Connolly, kind of the same thing. Over the Christmas period, you saw him miss some pretty easy chances. But I don't know. I guess I'm just curious.
I have to say, Origi, we'd be crazy to ever turn a quality player like that, who, like I say, to me, he does do it in the big games. He's proven he knows where the goal is in those big games. But I also went on record as saying I would have Origi definitely. At the time, we were inquiring about Brewster, and
he's been good too.
I felt that he had something to offer. I felt in the pre-season friendlies he had some speed. It's not worked out for him at Sheffield United yet. But I suppose in a nutshell, Origi, yes. I think any Premier League club would be stupid not to want his services.
I think Origi would probably do with just a change of scenery, new club, new surroundments, and someone that's.
Do you think he needs a fresh challenge?
Yes. Yeah, I think he's gone stale, and I think obviously because he never gets played through the middle, we always play him in the wings, and he doesn't suit our style of play anymore. I think he needs he's one of those players. I think that if he goes somewhere else, he can get 15, 20 goals somewhere else. As someone that's going to play him as a striker, he got it in them. But Liverpool don't trust him as a striker because the style of play we play We don't trust his link-up play and his pressing off the ball to do it. That's why we don't play him as a striker.
And
But
do you
I think
but do you think the fact that he hasn't been played now in the role that he wants for such a long period of time that's probably affecting him and maybe goes back to what you said about him probably needing to go somewhere else?
I think it does. I think it does play a part because he doesn't like playing the wings. He wants to be in the middle. You can see him when we do play him, he always drifts into the middle. And that's because he wants to play through the middle. We don't play him that way. So I think, like, obviously for Liverpool, Origi has gone stale completely. Like, probably since last year when after he scored the goal when we beat Everton, he smashed Everton and he got 2 goals. Like, he's not been the same since that probably time. And like, his impact is gone.
I don't think that Klopp has utilized him very well because, our style of play suits a false 9. Obviously we've seen Bobby Firmino turn into one over the years, but Origi's not a false 9. I think he's a proper striker that just needs to be in the box and just looking for those opportunities. And he's not a winger either, like what Homie said. So I think he's due for a fresh start. He needs to maybe it's somewhere else other than England, but I think like someone like Brighton would be a good fit. There were links with Burnley. Burnley would be terrible for him, but when we see him go up against a low block with Liverpool, that's where I think he struggles on the wing. He's not going to beat many players one-on-one.
Yeah.
And, I just think that if he was at a team like Brighton that rarely goes up against a low block, I think he would flourish. But
I think our style of play, certainly, Danny Welbeck, who sort of come in, and we all knew that we knew he had injury problems. To me, I see, Origi is definitely a kind of a better version than Danny Welbeck. And Danny Welbeck has settled in. Unfortunately, his injuries have sort of come back. So he absolutely would fit our style of play. Like a lot of these deals, it's just whether clubs have got the appetite for it. I just think with Brighton's acquisition, we're not afraid to go for bigger and better players now, which is good. Previously, when we first came up, I don't know whether we asked the questions of clubs to get those better players. I don't think we're afraid now.
Yeah. Well, homie, speaking of, key players in this game, and I'm just curious, what do you think of guys like Salah, Trent, and Firmino currently hitting form, and how big is that for us right now, given where we are in the table and given where we are in the season?
I think it's crucial because obviously we saw when they weren't on form how bad we were. The Southampton, the Newcastle, even the Brighton game. When they're not on form, we struggle badly. And what's been missing is like them being happy. Like, we missed the Bobby smile. Like Salah being happy, Mane being happy.
Yeah.
Even Trent before obviously the Spurs game looked indifferent, didn't look like the normal Trent. But now he looks like he's getting the form back. Obviously he's had circumstances like the COVID, the ankle injuries that affected him. But now he looks like the old Trent's coming back. And it's good because obviously like Salah, like his goals against West Ham were ridiculous. That's like, it reminds me of the old Salah.
They were great.
It reminds me of the old Salah. Like he was hungry and like was a focal point that was able to carry Liverpool, and it bodes well for us, because we got some tricky games coming up, and we passed 2 tests of those, there's this little run of games we're going to have up until the Merseyside derby, and we need our best players in form now. And I think for the other teams, it doesn't bode well for them. It doesn't bode well the fact that, Salah, Mane, Trent, and Bobby are back in form now. It doesn't bode well the fact that we've got 2 new centre-backs. Obviously, we're not going to see them tomorrow night or on the weekend, I don't think. But going forward, those 2 new centre-backs are going to allow us to play Henderson midfield. They're going to allow us to play high up the pitch, which is going to allow us to play the pressing game, which we haven't really been able to do this season, where we suffocate teams. So that's going to be huge for us. That's going to be a match changer for us in terms of us really enforcing our game and actually dominating games. So, but just going into tomorrow, I think it's exciting to see. I don't know what Klopp's going to play tomorrow really. If he's going to have one eye on City game and might rotate again, but I expect to still see Salah tomorrow, and I expect after his 2 goals against West Ham, Salah's going to be hungry for more. And when a hungry Mo's a dangerous thing.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I've been saying for the past, when we were in that poor run of form, that I think the most important part of our team is that right side. When Trent is on and Salah is on, teams don't really know what to do with that. Salah, I just saw today, has 100 goals and assists or goal contributions throughout his time with Liverpool. It's unbelievable in 4 years, absolutely unbelievable. So when he gets involved in a game, he's confident, he's running at players. It brings other players into the mix. It opens up the pitch for other players to move around. And when Trent's on, that ball can go, that ball can go anywhere in the box, and it'll likely find a Liverpool shirt. So, I mean, I love Mane and Robertson, but I just think that they're just so consistent that teams, expect to be slightly overrun over there. But if Salah and Trent can really keep this form going into the City game, then I think we're going to have a nice run of form. I think we're going to go maybe several games unbeaten. So we'll see. I mean, we'll see what happens with this game, obviously, first, and then the City game. But Tim, what are your thoughts on that? Would you say that you fear more of your left side compared to your right against Mane or Salah, or Robertson or Trent?
I've got to say, I fear both sides. Players of such quality coming at you, bombing down each flank. Robertson and Trent are phenomenal players, and whoever they link up, whether Salah on the left or on the right or interchanging, you've got to be fearful of it. I think the key for us is to try and not let you push us back. If we sit back and let you come onto us, then I genuinely think it will be a game like at the Amex a few years ago when you beat us 5-1. I think we could be on the wrong end of a bit of a hiding. However, if we can just push forward and stop you getting those crosses in, but equally stop the counter, the quick movement, the goals against West Ham at the weekend. I mean, that's just frightening how that is counter-attacking football at its absolute best. And Salah's touch, I don't think I've seen deft touch like that. He brought it down and it was finished before anyone had even thought he brought it down. So
yeah.
What does interest me is how Klopp is going to approach this game, because you've got City on the weekend. Now, as I see it, I don't think you can afford to drop points now in any game. No. So in that basis, does Klopp go hard, full side early, get 2-3 goals to the good, maybe, I don't know, and then make substitutions? Or does he go rotation and end up how I felt the Amex game went, when he had to then bring on replacements? And then you're kind of chasing a game, maybe. You're not where you need to be in a game. That's what interests me as to how Klopp will approach it.
I think what I was going to ask you in response to that question is, I think the last time when we played you at Brighton, I don't think Thiago played that game.
No, he didn't.
No. So I think yeah. So I think the difference this time around, he's going to play Thiago. He's the linchpin. He'll definitely start. And I think that'll be a difference maker, because if he does rotate, he'll play Thiago, who can break down defensive blocks and find passes that no one else can see, and really get Liverpool playing out the field.
And to be fair, where to me, where the game changed, I mean, it was level when Henderson came on, but what shifted was Henderson and Jota. And I thought Henderson gave that impetus and drove you forward. I mean, we got the late equaliser, but it was noticeable that second half at the Amex, you were a lot further forward. You had a lot more energy moving forward. And Thiago, he's just a joy to watch. The passes he picks out, he'll take a ball in one side and he'll have thought of his sidestep and who he's releasing it to. I find it quite crazy. I've seen some Liverpool fans say that they don't feel he's the answer, whereas
makes no sense.
If he's not the answer, what the bloody hell's the question?
Yeah, I think there's a weird notion by. Cause I think it also stems from pundits, because there's been a lot of pundits saying that Thiago's too slow. He doesn't know Liverpool way. He doesn't suit Liverpool's style of play, and it's just nonsense. Like, the statistics, show that in most of our games, Thiago's got like the most. He's number one for most tackles completed, most balls in the opposition half. Like, he's number one at all these different stats. I don't stand. I think the reason with Thiago is the fact that we're not going to really see the best of him 100% until for Liverpool are able to play midfield of Henderson, Fabinho, and Thiago's really allowed to play further forward. Because even now, he still has to do a lot more tracking back because of we're not playing a proper. Although Junior's been really good at number 6, we're not playing a proper defensive midfielder like Fabinho there. So he still has to track back and be doing more defending than he doesn't have to. Like even against West Ham, he was having to do a lot of tracking back to stop, the West Ham runners, and he wasn't having to do that, say, Bayern Munich, because they had a recognised system where they had a proper defensive player that was doing that for him. So we're not going to really see the rest of him until then, but or at least until Henderson gets moved back into midfield, we're not going to see really the best of it. But my question for you was just, you said because in the Spurs game, Jose set up with a back 5 to try and block the fullbacks, but we played through the middle and surprised him because of Thiago. Yeah. So for Brighton, how are you going to go? Are you going to think, well, we're going to stop the fullbacks and allow Thiago free roam, or are you going to try and stop Thiago and then leave the fullbacks open to cross? So,
well, either way, there's trouble. I mean, you look at it. If you stop the fullbacks coming through, then you are in danger. You leave yourself exposed in the middle, which is why I think Basuma would be very, very important, because his role then to cover the midfield, and that's why I personally think that Potter would pick another 2 midfielders who have got a lot of energy to burn, because they're going to need it, because that's where it's going to be coming. What was interesting with when we played Spurs is that when they switched to more of a sort of a flat back 4 and left just sort of 2 and still pushed 2 on, so they had that extra man coming through. That was more of a problem to us, and I kind of see that's possibly the way that you'll sort of face up against us, which is when Thiago starts causing them more of the problem, because where I see it, when he gets the ball around the opposition box, if he's allowed to play some of the balls, he's threading killer passes. But in terms of how we set up, what will Potter do? Will he go for the wing backs and try and push you forward? He's rarely gone a flat back 4 this season. He's done it, but it's been the exception. It's not to say he won't do it, and he's got a back 4, but it would be just 4 centre backs all the way along the side. And the danger then is when you've got, tricky players like Shaqiri and Salah just crossing through. That's when centre backs can be drawn out of position. It's going to be very interesting to see the lineup.
Yeah, so just getting into that, who are your guys' key players going into this game?
So I think the key players, your key players just kind of stand out. You mentioned it. Salah's just going to be dangerous. I do agree. Trent's playing with a smile on his face now, and when you see him with a smile on his face, he's dangerous. For us, our key players are going to be whoever he chooses to play up front. Now, I'm having to say whoever because I don't know. Connolly, Trossard, Mopé, Tau, their key and their importance is trying to push you back. They need to be brave in running down the channels and pressing you back. Without that, you're going to be coming onto us.
Homie?
Also, I think for Liverpool, we don't know who. I still think Salah will play tomorrow. So I think Salah will be a key because of the form he's in. And also, I think, Salah and then probably Thiago, I think, because of how Brighton are going to line up. They're going to obviously make it difficult. So I think he's going to be the key tomorrow in terms of helping us unlock Brighton. I just think, if you play Connolly, I can't remember, did we have Williams last time at centre-back for Brighton?
That's a good question.
You had Jones. No, Jones wasn't. Neco played.
It might have been Nico. Yeah,
Nico played right back. Robbo was left back, and Fabinho And yeah, I think it might have been Williams. I don't recall it being Matip.
Matt wasn't there. I don't think it was Phillips. Yeah, I think.
Was it Phillips? Was it? Was it Phillips?
Yeah,
Was Nate playing? Oh, Joe, I can't remember. Well, all I do know is that Connolly did cause you problems, but it was widely acknowledged by every pundit that was working on that game that it was because of the inexperience of whoever you had in that back lineup. And I can't see the same thing happening this time. Even though I think Connolly's got pace to burn and might trouble you, I don't think you'll have the same trouble as you had last time.
Yeah, for me, yeah. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, for me, the key to the game, I think, is rest in the midfield, and specifically Thiago. I think that Brighton will be looking to limit our fullbacks, and Trent and Robertson. They'll have seen the past 2 games and seen what Trent can do, and obviously known what he can do from his reputation. But I think Thiago, if he can just push the ball through the middle, that'll open up the flanks for the fullbacks. So I think that's the key right there. I think it has to be Thiago. Hopefully, he can make some late runs and find some space. I think there's going to be very limited space out there with the way Brighton might line up, but we'll see. For you guys, I think it's going to be Lewis Dunk. Is he still playing right now? Has he he's
an absolute defender, club captain, and I think there's the key of why we're doing so well. Is stability at the back, led by Lewis Dunk. Phenomenal player.
Yeah, I think it's going to be him, and I think a lot of talk from him, and I think it's going to be Ben White, because if he's playing right back, he's going to be going up against Sadio Mane, and we're going to see if he lives up to all the hype, because he's been touted as a great English midfield or a great English defender, and I think he is that. But if he's going up against Sadio Mane, probably slightly out of position, we'll see what he can do.
Yeah, I was just saying, against Brighton, it was Phillips with Williams right back. So I think, there was...
Oh, it was Phillips.
Yeah, it was Phillips. There was, we did get done by Connolly quite a few times. I remember that game. And also we had, Mina midfield that day. So there was, he struggled that game as well in midfield. So, so I think if you play Connolly, I think he might trouble Phillips with pace. And if you continue playing the balls on the top, like you did last time, then that could also trouble us. Because that still is an issue when we do play Phillips or Williams. A ball over the top can get you in easily behind us,
especially over that side. Because to be fair, I don't know. As I see it, if Trent's gone bombing forward and we then counter with the ball over the top, and it will be that side. Yep. That is to me your only Achilles heel. I don't see another.
Yeah. Especially if Henderson's playing at centre back, because when he plays midfield, he protects Trent, allows Trent to go forward. But if it's Ginny Jones and Thiago, Ginny Jones and Milner, or whichever combo without Henderson there, they don't do the discipline enough to get and cover Trent on that side. So it does leave space.
Do you not think maybe? Do you think what I've seen with Jones in recent games, he's starting to mature and maybe starting to understand some of those more defensive responsibilities?
Yeah, he did really well against I was critical of him when I got blasted by a lot of Liverpool fans in the last game. Yeah, because I said why are we going Jones on? And he came on and then changed the game, and then we scored straight away. So, he looked really good when he came on. And,
I thought he looked good.
Yeah, so if he continues that trajectory, then it's only we've got to play in him, because he's still learning and he still needs to eventually add more goals and assists. But that's just been natural evolution. But yeah, he has done well. So I do think he'll probably play tomorrow night because he didn't start last game, and Milner can't do 3 games.
Came off last game because of a hamstring injury as well. His hamstring was a little tight, I think. So I wouldn't be surprised if they rested that. But let's wrap this up with predictions. What do you guys think for the game, Tim? Let's start with you. What's your scoreline prediction?
I will say I got the prediction right last time at 1-1. However,
so what do you say this time?
Well, I genuinely think we're going to be in the game until the end, but I fear we'll fall short and you'll beat us 2-1.
For me, okay, I'm going to go 3-1 again. I said 3-1 last time. I'm going to 3-1. I think you probably might. I think you're likely to score, because of because of us having to still play Henderson and Phillips at centre back. So I think it's not like you probably will get a goal. Because we saw even last time we conceded against West Ham because of that. So you might get a goal from a set piece.
That's what I'm banking on, 1, but I just think you're going to get more, 2.
But I think we'll get 3-1, and that's good enough for me.
I'm going 2-0, 2 goals from Salah, clean sheet. Getting ready for the City game. Let's do it. But hey, Tim, thanks so much again for joining us. This is an absolute pleasure, and you're officially a recurring guest. So looking forward to the next time we can have you on.
Well, listen, guys, I really enjoyed chatting to you, and best of luck for the rest of the season after tomorrow.
Yeah, of course.
It'd be great to catch up with you again soon.
Yeah.
And everybody else who joined us, thank you so much. If you haven't hit that like and subscribe button, please do that. Wahomie, Tim, great talking to you guys again, and up the Reds, guys. Take care.
Cheers, guys.